Good evening, Ramadan Kareem. We're about to start, so if you please take your seats. Thank you. I would like to ask Khaled Nossier, the chairman of BEBA, to come to give the welcoming remarks. And after that, His Excellency is going to give a PowerPoint presentation that's going to be followed by a Q&A session. Thank you so much, and enjoy the evening. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, it gives me great pleasure on behalf of the board of BEBA to welcome you tonight to our special event in honor of His Excellency Dr. Khaled Abdel Ghaffar, Minister of Health and Population. Our focus tonight is fostering valuable discussion with His Excellency Dr. Abdel Ghaffar to explore opportunities in the medical investments sphere. I'd like to take this opportunity to also welcome our special guest, His Excellency Dr. Mohamed Maait, Minister of Finance, and Her Excellency Dr. Rania Al-Mashat, Minister of International Cooperation. We also have His Excellency Ambassador Kim Yonghyon, Ambassador of the Republic of Korea in Egypt, Mr. Hossam Heiba, President of GAFI, the General Authority of Investment, and His Excellency Ambassador Gareth also joined us. كل سنة وأنت طيب معالي السفير. And we also have Mohanad Khaled, Chairman of Egyptian British Chamber of Commerce, and we have all you to welcome as well. I'd like to recognize our sponsors for tonight, our silver sponsors AstraZeneca and the British University in Egypt, and our bronze sponsor Sanofi, and special thanks to our events partner Banque du Caire, CIB, eBank, GlaxoSmithKline, Innovo, New Era for Education, Uppingham, Cairo, Suez Canal Bank, Tatweer Misr, and Vodafone. And of course, special thanks to our special strategic media partner, Excellent Communications. Without further ado, I'll leave the floor to His Excellency Minister Abdel Ghaffar to give us a short presentation before having a short discussion and some questions and answers. Minister Abdel Ghaffar.
Thank you, Khaled, and I would like to also express my deep gratitude and thanks to the board of the BEBA for inviting me, although I was not coming, and because of my dear colleague Rania, she reminded me in the last minute that I'm the guest of honor in this important event. But well, thank you, Rania, for giving me this. I think because of Ramadan and because of the work that we have been doing in the last year, I should say that it was very tough time, and especially after this economic constraint that we all went through. And I can see here some of my colleagues from pharmaceutical companies and medical sector companies, and they've been working with us closely in those times when we had difficulty in making available resources for them as regards to the hard currency and their also active ingredients for the pharmaceutical industry. But things are getting better, and Dr. Maait is here, and I think he's going also to ensure that everything is going better over time, and now we are getting everything back to the normal track. I was thinking what to talk about after iftar and at Sohour time, and I was told that we have to elaborate something about the investment opportunities in the health sector. This is not the core of my presentation, but I will talk a little about the investment opportunities because I think together with the authority of the investment and my colleagues concerned with investment in the government, you all know that it has been now clear that Egypt is going to encourage more private sector investment in different fields, and certainly in the health sector because of the needs that for the future in terms of increasing the number of beds, increasing the number of hospitals, and also the pharmaceutical sector is also need to be even more encouraged and more focused and supported by the government. By doing that, I think we went to the government and we succeeded in passing a lot of legislations to support the incentives for the private sector. Some of them will be by offering the land with concession properties, and also with some incentives as regards to taxation and other opportunities by providing lands in different areas in the country, like 21 very highly selected pieces of land in different Egyptian governorates. We can share it with investors so that will encourage direct investment, either locally or regional or even international investments. And we start to announce that in different occasions, and we are more welcome to talk more about the details as regards to the legislations and regards to the incentives that we have already passed through the cabinet, and it's ready to be implemented. So we are decisive and committed for the private sector in the field of the health to work more with partners in different areas so that we can assure that we will achieve what we want. The universal health coverage of Egypt needs at least 7,000 beds within the next few years. At least 3 years from now, we want to add 7,000 new beds, and that means a lot of hospitals. You can add to this diagnostic centers from laboratory X-rays, and certainly the pharmaceutical industry is part of this target. So I believe that the opportunities as regards to investment is quite open now, more than ever, and with any interest from different fields, we can have more discussion within our premises at the Ministry of Health. We can invite investors from abroad. We can travel also to give these opportunities and to talk more about all the details of this investment opportunities. So please, if you are interested, join us, and we can share with you our site that we put all the investment opportunities on top. Now I'll move to the core of my presentation. If I can have a mobile phone, yeah, that would be good. So I decided to share with you some information that I really like, much better than talking about health and investment and things like that, which is the future and the future of leaders. And the question is, are leaders born or made, or they are both? We need to work together in order to find out the proper leader of the country. So in order to talk about that, we have to revise what we call the 5 industrial revolutions that started in 1780, that 120 years ago, even more than that, when the Industry 1.0 depends more on the machinery and power and the steam power. And going through history, you can see that along the history from Industry 1.0 all to Industry 5.0, or even now we're talking about Industry 6.0, going through different industrial revolution from steam power to electricity to computer and automation, and going to cyber and physical systems and internet, and now talking about human cyber and physical systems. So this is the revolution of the industry along the years. And as you can see, it takes 120 years from 1780 to 900 in order to move from steam and power to the production of electricity. But if you look at the right side of the slide, you can notice that now the interval between Industry 4.0 and 5.0, and even between 5.0 and the 6.0, is quite short. So revolution and technology is moving so fast. So what are we going to do in order to catch up with the pace and the speed of the industrial revolution? Also, we need to find out where are we belonging here, because sometimes if you are born between 1940 and 1960, so you are considered what we call generation baby boomers. This is after the World War. Baby boomers, and the reason of calling baby boomers because after the World War, a lot of people are getting birth and getting more child in the family, so that's why they call it baby boomers. If you are born between 1960 and 1980, this is Generation X. And then between 1980 to 2000, this is Generation Y, and Generation Z between 2000 and 2010. And where we are now is Generation Alpha. The reason of showing that because we are not living by ourselves. We need to find out the Egyptian population and the demographic distribution of the Egyptians. Where are we here so that we can, and because each generation needs special care and different types of mentality as we're going to see. So this is the demographic changes in Egypt and the population pyramid in 2024. We are now 106 million. But you can see that there is an increase of the population at the age range between 15 to 24 years old and expected to increase even more from 19 million in this year to 23 million by 2030. So these are the assets of Egypt that we need to work with, and we need to encourage education and innovation and technology to those groups so that when they grow up to be at the area or at the part of the workforce, they were well prepared and they can add to the investment and they can add to the development of the country. So, talking about generation, so we have now from Generation X only 13.6%. Remember, whoever is born in Generation X, and the millennials between 1980 to 2000 were now to represent 21.5% of the population, and Generation Z represents 15.8%, and certainly Generation Alpha is the one who are born from now till the next 10, 20 years. Since we are dealing with those youth in the Egyptian population, so we need to understand their mentality, because their mentality is quite different than the mentality that we were at the time of our growing up at schools and universities. So the millennials, they are now about 79 million in the US versus only 48 million in the Generation of X. But the purchasing power of the millennials is estimated to be 170 billion per year. There is a quite big difference between different types of generation, and that's why we need to understand the philosophy behind working with those millennials or Generation Z or even the Alpha millennials. Going to the Generation Z, which is the next generation, when you look at them, you can think about your children or students at school age or even at early university age. Generation Z is naturally social, and they said that they spend 7.6 hours per day socializing with friends and families. So they are very social. They are multitaskers, so they work in multi-tasks at the same time. Sometimes they work with they open 5 screens at the same time. And this is very typical if you just think about your kids, that they are born at the time of the millennials. They are entrepreneurs by nature. They hate to work at the traditional work jobs. They desire to be independent in their work environment. So 70% of those teens want to start their own business someday. They hate to be worked as a traditional work job. And constantly they are learning by any means. It doesn't have to be college graduate for the source of education, but they are constantly learning. They are also philanthropists, so they decide to work depends on the impact of the society of the job. So they love share with the community and to be part of the community. At the same time, they are digitally native. So the first true natives to the digital era, they spend around 15.4 hours per week on their smartphones. And they are more concerned with boosting their people and management skills. They are very much interactive. And they are technologically savvy. So everything you ask them in question, they will Google it. They said, I will Google this information. So now they have the answer for any question by the tip of their fingers. And certainly they are less focused. That's why it depends on the TikTok and all this speed type of advertisement, because they cannot focus, they cannot stay in attention for more than 8 seconds. So if you're going to put them for any advertisement, you have to do it very fast so that they can catch up with what you want to do. Otherwise, you will lose their attention. And because they've been working and growing through different types of recessions and different types of difficulties economically and socially, so they are very cautious. 57% would save their money than spending them because afraid from the future. So those are what we call the Generation Z. If you look at Generation Alpha, just think about the incoming technology and the outgoing technology. Remember the outgoing technology when we used to use the pagers and the MP3 and the BlackBerry and the fax machines and landline phones. These are outgoing technology. These are not going to be used anymore. And the incoming technology for those generation where there are characteristics to be more globally and more socially and more digitally and more mobile and more visual than verbal. So these are the characteristics of the Alpha generation, that they are born between 2010 and 2024. We call them Generation Alpha. The reason of saying that, because you need to understand the characteristics of each of these generations in order to work with them, in order to provide them with the needed knowledge according to their mentality, not according to your mentality. So the new jobs created because of that, we have to focus on this. This is the reason of the presentation, that we need to work more on the cybersecurity specialist, drone pilot, blockchain developer, data design, artificial intelligence, machine learning, and all the types of jobs that will be created within the next few years. We have to prepare for those jobs because those are the future of jobs that we have to get ready for. One important thing also to look at, which is the evolution of the work environment. You have to think about the past organization and the future scope of the organization, as well as the employee of the past and the employee of the future, and also the leadership of the past and the leadership of the future. Just think about the past. We are more centralized and working in large teams. Now in the future is going to be globally distributed. You don't have to be in one country or in one continent so that you can have the job. You can have the job within when you just stay at home and you perform the job even better and you get even much paid than going to be centralized in certain location. The siloed work and the connected workforce. In the past, organizations focuses only on the needs, but now they are focusing on the wants and the slow to adapt versus quick to adapt. The innovation is centralized, while now innovation is anywhere at any time. This is the difference in the organization chart between the past and the future. And also the traditional hierarchy also and the holacracy and structure and the corporate learning versus the democratized learning and the lifetime company. Now, employees tend to move from one company to another. They don't like to stay forever in one company. There is nothing called loyalty anymore. Loyalty is when you work in a place, so there is short loyalty more than the past. When you look at the employee, there is nothing called from 5 or from 9 to 5 anymore, because you can work at any time and you can work from your home. Working in anywhere versus working in the corporate office, and also you can use any device. It doesn't have to be the device of the company. And it focuses in inputs versus focus in outputs. These are the different between the employee of the past and employee of the future. When you look at the leadership of the past, they are supported by employees, and now they are support each other. So they led by example versus leading by delegations. And there is no emotion of the leaders of the past, but now empathy has to be available so that you can have more connectivity and more teamwork for your future employees. But in order to do that, look at the leaders who deliver versus leaders who destroy. And this is very typical, and you can just think about it if you are a leader of a company or a corporate, and you love to share the information, the maximum information that you can, then this is the leader that wants to deliver. Versus leaders who just share the minimum information that you can give away. They use their time mindfully and vigilantly, where they use it thoroughly. They create conditions for motivation to flourish, and leaders who's destroying by nature, they use pressure, fear, and hierarchy to motivate. They are obsessed by performance and results, while others are more focusing on the results. So there's a big difference between the leaders who want to deliver versus leaders who want to destroy. There is no leaders who wants to destroy, by the way. But the reason what I'm saying here, that in order to look at the capacity and the importance of leadership to deliver and to achieve results, you have to think in a different way. So the ready for the future of work, I think it has to be by preparing the generations that I just talked about in the form of the mindset, skill set, and the tool set. These are the three main objectives and the three main angles of success that talks about the beliefs, thoughts, perception, and attitude, and the competences, proficiencies, and technology and ability. And also you need to have the framework and the methodology. And this could be also elaborated when you talk about hard skills and soft skills that has to be available to employees and to leaders at the same time. Certainly hard skills can get it through education. And by the way, college education is not the important issue now, but training and competences, skills are much more important than a graduate of Harvard, for instance. So companies and corporates now looking at employees who adopt and who achieve good skills, hard and soft skills, rather than having a good university college. So you have to be bilingual, to adopt software and network security. You have to learn statistical analysis and data mining and use interface and marketing campaign. These are all hard skills that you can get from education. But certainly this is not enough, even if you are graduated from the Ivy League universities from worldwide. You need to improve your soft skills by adding the integrity, dependency, open-mindedness, and teamwork, creativity, problem-solving, critical thinking, and so on and so forth. So in order to have the job of the future, you should have the soft skills and the hard skills at the same time. And unfortunately, you don't get that much soft skills during your career path at university or at schools. But now they're starting giving a lot of courses before graduation to improve the soft skills of the graduates and the students. So leaders' mindset and skills, the notable mindset and skills to be a global citizen and a servant citizen, and also a chef, an explorer, and a coach. These are a lot of mindset skills that has to be available. But looking at the primary skills for the future of work is creativity, which means coming with ideas that are new and useful. So in order a proper employee and compete with others, you should have to be creative and innovative in your way of thinking. And also you should see opportunities instead of tasks, and project instead of problems, and opportunities instead of risks. Attention management is important. Social intelligence is important. And by the way, if you compare between emotional intelligence, social intelligence, and the IQ, which is the brain intelligence, successful people doesn't have to be with high IQ. They think that the social intelligence and the emotional intelligence are much more important in success than the IQ intelligence by the brain. Critical thinking is important, and self-management is also important. Being confident and goal-oriented, and as a result, relaxed and stress-resilient. Agility and resilience is very important to be available and to be able to work in difficult environment and in difficult situations. So, top 10 key competences that's needed for the future jobs and the future employee, and that certainly for the future leader, is that you need to learn how to work in teamwork and to be responsible and to have the proper decision on the proper time and to communicate with others in a very sympathy and empathy at the same time. And you have to be result-oriented, and you should know and learn how to be problem-solving, and you should have an organization skills. These are competences needed for future jobs. So the function of the leaders is to produce more leaders, not more followers. The secret for success, in my opinion, is those 10 key issues, which is you always have goals in life, and you have to be persistent, agile, and resilient at the same time. You have to gratitude attunes with the success, and to have more in life, you must first appreciate what you have right now in order to appreciate or in order to put or set targets for the future. You have to focus on important issues once at a time. You don't think about 10 things at the same time and then you create nothing and you achieve nothing. You have to create and reflect to others what we call the winner's attitude, so that you can encourage your employees to work together, and you can also usually work in a very successful environment. Keep your imagination alive and keep your knowledge all the time. Improve your knowledge by improving your skills and add more information at any moment in your life. Keep studying, keep learning. Become fast at decision making. The success is a decision. Work in success from the morning and form a mastermind group with your employees. These are the 10 important competences in my mind for the secrets of any success. Last but not least, Socrates once said, smart people learn from everything and everyone. Average people learn from their experience, while stupid people already have all the answers. And I thank you so much.
Your Excellency, I must say that every time I hear one of your presentations, I get more and more awed by what I hear. And I have to insist, I want a copy of this presentation. Thank you very much. I'm sure it was very interesting to everybody. This is definitely interesting for me to hear your thoughts on this interesting presentation. We have a few questions that came from the investors and people in the industry and in the market regarding what's happening in the health sector and so on. And one of the things Your Excellency mentioned was the opportunities of investment in the health sector, and that the government now is keen on promoting investment in the health sector. So, of course, there are many challenges in the old laws or existing laws that put restrictions on investing in healthcare sector. What are the plans to make amendments to such laws and remove such existing restrictions?
As I mentioned, I think what we are working from the beginning of 2023 in revising all the legislations within our system so that we can promote more engagement of the private sector. And as you mentioned, we are having now, as we speak, 2 legislations ready to go to the parliament so that we can add more opportunities and more facilities as regards to investments in taxations and in land opportunities, as well as in the operation and the concessions for different sectors, either greenfield investment or brownfield investment. So now the landscape of investment is ready more than ever, and most importantly, the political will within our president and the government, and even the sector within the community of the health, are more than ever ready for improving the private partnership with the private sector, with the government, either by having hospitals available now that we can give it for concession with the private sector so that they can operate, run within the concession law that we're having right now, and it's cleared by the government and now to be cleared by the parliament, or offering land opportunities in different governorates. In Egypt, in Cairo region, the east side or the west side, we have at least 10 pieces of land in a very prime locations, as well as in different areas in the Egyptian governorates. We can even share with the land if the investor doesn't want to pay or to invest more for purchasing the land. We can have it as a concession, or we can even go as a ministry for partnership with the investor. And we only ask him one of the ways to buy services in return to the value of the land. So there is different forms of investment that we can work together in order to make the investment in the health sector ready. The most important thing is we're going to the universal health coverage. And universal health coverage now in 5 governorates, and in the second phase in another 5 governorates. This means a great opportunity for the private sector and the proper timing to contribute to the universal health coverage. Why? Because in order for us to implement the universal health coverage in a governorate, there has to be a certain number of beds available and all the infrastructure is ready. And as a government, we cannot do this ourselves. So it is now clear more than ever that the participation and the involvement of the private sector within the health sector is very important in order to promote implementation of the universal health coverage. And over time, universal health coverage will be the default of health services in Egypt, even within the next 10 years. So we're talking now about that if there is any interest in the private sector, so this is the proper time, and the whole atmosphere and the landscape is ready for that.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Actually, to catch the point on universal health insurance, it's obvious that the universal health insurance system here is based on the NHS model out of the UK. But one of the core pillars for that is basically having primary health care providers. And there seems to be a lack of that primary health care providers in Egypt. So what are the plans to resolve this issue?
Well, this is an important question, and you're absolutely right. Any health system depends on different phases of services. It starts from the primary health care. And for your surprise, we do have 5,400 primary health care units in Egypt distributed all over Egyptian governorates, at rural areas and at urban areas at the same time. So the number of primary health care units available is quite enough for to be implementing the primary services. But unfortunately, they are not properly managed. They are not properly serving the population. And that's why people, when they have very minimum complaint, they go to hospitals. And this is not the case and when you refer to the NHS, because hospitals are only ready for secondary or for secondary and tertiary care, not for primary care. But to answer your question, we started with 251 primary healthcare units all over Egypt. We improved it, we facelifted it, We make it ready by all the equipment to be available. And the challenge that we are facing now is the human power, because we want to put the best family physician in those primary health care so that they can solve the problem instead of referring that to the hospital. And we believe that 70% of the problem could be solved within the primary health care. And within Hayat Karima initiative, there's also another 1,100 primary health care units that are already being either refurbished or new buildings. And these are within the phase 1 of Hayat Karima in different villages. So we are preparing now the infrastructure as regards to primary health care so that we'll make the governorates ready. Once the universal insurance goes to this governorate, we have all the infrastructure and started with the primary health care ready. So we are moving to improve all primary health care and all over the Egyptian governorates.
Yeah, thank you, Your Excellency. To move away from healthcare providers and hospitals, more towards the pharmaceutical sector, there was a question regarding clinical trials and the investment. I mean, it attracts a lot of investment worldwide, and the law has been issued, but practical insights show that there's some uncertainty around the implementation of the laws. So how can this be resolved in order to allow companies to hold clinical trials?
The good news is just last week, announced by the Prime Minister, the delegation of the higher committee for clinical trials. We were waiting for this committee to be announced by the Prime Minister since 2 years. Since the law the law came out and enacted within the Parliament. But now we have all the members. They just had the first meeting a couple of days ago, and that should solve all related issues, as you just mentioned. I totally agree with you that there was not a lot of restrictions, a lot of problems as regards to the implementation of the clinical trial programs. And a lot of companies, because this is an important source for research, and also it's an important hope for a lot of patients. And we know that multinational companies, they invest more in research and development. And big part of the investment in research and development needs the clinical trials to be done. And Egypt, with a 106 million, is very importantly to be part of this pie and part of this clinical trial program that is going worldwide. If you look around us in Turkey, in Jordan, in Israel, even in Saudi Arabia, there is a lot of clinical trials going on in those countries. And I met with the committee just 10 days ago, and I talked to them with all the problems that has been, came to me, complaining from either reluctancy in the approval or preventing traveling of samples outside, or rejection of certain clinical trial research. And now we are on the way with the capacity of the experts included within the higher committee announced a few days ago. I believe that this will solve a lot of problems. And I was just told this morning that around 30 to 40 clinical trials that was pending from an answer within the last 6 months, they came out. So I have to announce that things, I'm sure Hatem, did you get any information about that, right? Perfect. So things are getting better, and I'm very much committed, and I'm encouraging the clinical trial to be even more, so that because it will make a big difference in research and development. And since we are going to the era of precision medicine and personalized medicine, so we have to be part of this. We have to be part with the international community as regards to pharmaceutical research, and clinical trial is the gateway for doing that.
Thank you, Your Excellency. One last question. I mean, after the successful implementation of the hepatitis C campaign and 100 million Sahha, everybody's asking, what's the next initiative?
Well, I think this is also a success story that we have to be all proud of, which is the public health initiatives. And you just mentioned one big story of success, which is eradication of hepatitis C. And this is announced for the first time by the World Health Organization, that Egypt, moving from the first country globally to have the most prevalent patients with HCV, to be the first country globally to be announced eradicated from with the golden tier for eradication. That's something that we have to all stand and applaud the success that has been going within the last 6-7 years with my colleagues. I mean, because this is an effort of a lot of people that came up to be concluded within the last World Health Organization. So, but we achieved very good results with hepatitis C, which was very difficult. And now we did a very good achievement as regards to breast cancer, which is the Women Health Initiative. We moved from breast cancer diagnosis 72% at stage 4 for women. Now we went down to stage 4 to only 28%, from 72 to 28%, which means that we scanned and we surveyed more than 20 million ladies from age 18 and above. And we managed to discover early and treat early cases with the early diagnosis, and that was also a great achievement. But to answer your question, we are now starting from around less than a year ago an important initiative for cancer, early diagnosis and treatment of prostate cancer, lung cancer, colorectal cancer, and cervical cancer for women. And these 4 types of cancer will make a big difference. And this is a new initiative that we have started, and we started achieving very good results in discovering cases as we go. So, and most important one that that's very dear to my heart, which is a new initiative also, is the autism and psychological or mental disorder initiative. That sounds quite irrelevant, but believe me, when you look at the international community, at the state of the mental health, because when you talk about health, you should consider physical, mental, and social health. These are the 3 corners of health. It's not only physical health, because we all the time focus on the physical well-being of the human, but most of the time you forget about the mental health. And globally, and I'm talking about the global percentage of mental disorders, is around 25%. 25% of the population suffers from one or more mental disorder. And in Egypt, according to our last research in 2017 survey, we also have 24% of our population suffer by. I'm not saying mental disorders like you have to think about the crazy people. No, it's not like that. We're talking about depression, we're talking about anxiety, we're talking about bipolar. So there's a lot of disorders that we all have, but we never talk about it. But we should tackle it, we should consider it. So that's why it's important now we have a mental disorder initiative, and together with an autism initiative, because this is another problem that is available in Egypt and available globally, and it doesn't have any social determinant, so that it belongs to social level. And we need to help parents and help those autistic patients how to live with it. And also an initiative that talks about who's going to marriage. This is an important initiative because any couple getting to marriage, we start they have to go for a mandatory investigation for some genetic disorders like sickle cell anemia, thalassemia, and also we also check for HBV, HCV, and HIV, and also other non-communicable diseases. So now no one will get married except when they go through a proper investigation. And we don't imply to them the decision of the marriage, but we just give them the decision, give them their medical reports, so that they decide themselves if they are having some possibility or prevalence of getting some genetic disorder, so they are the one to decide. So these are new initiatives ongoing beside the 11 initiatives that we are still working with.
This is very good news, I have to say. And the thing of giving them the choice to choose, because this was a big concern in all social media and amongst the many of the people discussing this, if this was going to be mandatory by the government or anything. But it's giving people the choice. Thank you, Your Excellency. I know you're pressed in time and you have other obligations. I would like to thank you very much for joining us tonight and for sharing this insightful information. And we hope to see you soon, inshallah, and wish you all the best in the new initiatives. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Ramadan Kareem.